See if this is working. My neighbor literally just arrived home. If y'all care about that. Some of you might. Hello, hello, hello. Volume is very low. Hold on. I just did something very stupid. I had my headset on, so that's why the volume was low, because I could barely hear it. And that's the headset off. It's fine. All right. AHS plays. We're almost at the episode 100 mark. I believe we're at episode 90 in our series, but we are definitely at event number 11 in our UFC 5 series of events. 11 events deep, and we still don't have a proper name for it. We just kind of go with the flow. And this is another massive event because every fight tonight is a championship bout. Mike Tyson defended his Punch-Out title against Tito Ortiz in what some may consider a very hilarious fight. And that might actually be the case. Then history will be made during the course of this event. Now, think one. I spoke a fight too early, but we'll get to it. Demetrius Johnson returns, defending his flyweight title against Davison Figueiredo. Demetrius Johnson left the UFC in real life. Flyweight division, finally there's a chance for some other fighters to take advantage and to quote-unquote dominate, and Figueiredo was one of those fighters, but now he's getting an opportunity to challenge Mighty Mouse. Now, history will be made in these three fights as we'll be crowning our first bantamweight, featherweight, and welterweight champions, and that main event fight, a trilogy bout, and the conclusion of our welterweight Grand Prix. So we got a couple of coin flip fights on here as well, as I have a quarter in front of me just for that purpose. So let's quit wasting time. Let's get on to the actual event. I have a zip up folder, so if you heard me zipping something a couple of seconds ago, that's what it was, even though nothing was in it. I just had to get it out of the way. So let's get to this first fight, which to some might be the fight of the night and the biggest fight of the night. So here we go. We're going to the world's most famous arena. We're going to Madison Square Garden for this historic event. Now, y'all know that I am... This also... Well, everything's caused to change, and things can change. But I do have all the way up until event 15 planned. Like I said, we're at event 11. If you want to know some of the fights for event 12, the middleweight title fight between Georges St. Pierre, Kamaru Usman, and a lightweight title fight between Dustin Poirier and Charles Oliveira. And we'll have some number one contender bouts on the event as well. So that was a smart game plan by him, because a kick landed, and then he went for the takedown that I thought he was going to land the takedown. Event 13, I am really looking forward to, because on that event, we're using fighters that we'd only previously used once, so it's a bit of a second chance event, redemption event. You could give several names for it. And then event 14 to 15 will be our season finale. Big two-part event. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. That was crazy as hell. But Mike Tyson quickly wins. I will take it. He advances. He is defeated Muhammad Ali, Kimbo Slice, Derek Lewis, and now Tito Ortiz. Which, granted, this is the first. All those the previous three fights were in the heavyweight division. This time around, was in the light heavyweight division, and I'm letting y'all see the damn replays of this because it is thunderous and a bit crazy. But we're about to move up to the flyweight, or not really move up, but our next bout in the flyweight division, as Tyson could add another stone onto his belt. Crazy, crazy day. Because the Grizzlies, my Grizzlies, fired Taylor Jenkins. And as much as I appreciate Taylor, I almost said Demetrius Johnson. I do appreciate Demetrius Johnson as well. It's definitely insane. I understand it, though. I think that's what most of my day has been evolving, evolving and revolving around. I think it's revolving. But DJ looks crazy in the all gold. Also, new punch card out. Not the biggest fan of it. It's not that much on it, not that much crazy things on it, and you got like 2 weeks to complete it. So I was not the biggest fan of this punch card, but it's kind of like a break in between this and the next pay-per-view. So hopefully the next pay-per-view's punch card's a lot better. And next pay-per-view looks fun. With Diego versus Volk. Okay. Figueiredo has very fast hands and has already cut us. So, potentially in trouble early on. Oh no. Okay. Completed a challenge there. Completed the fight right here, or not. Don't count your chickens before they hatch, as the old saying goes. Oh, baseball has started back. And I only say that because I've only left my TV on the MLB. I'm lying to y'all, but I have definitely I watched the Red Sox and Rangers tonight. And I was flipping back and forth between that and March Madness games. And while I am not... Here's the thing I will say about baseball and hockey. Whenever another sport pisses me off, a la Packers or the Grizzlies being disappointing, my TV goes to the hockey and baseball channels. Because in the case of hockey, I legitimately don't have a team. And am trying to not have a team. That way, I can just put it on the channel, and it doesn't matter to me the end result or what the hell happens. So with hockey, that is the case. With baseball, it's a little bit different, because I don't like the Astros, because they're cheats. But, you know, it's kind of been a while since that, but, you know, the sentiment, it will take a while before that sentiment goes away. But I, as a kid, liked the Red Sox. And I feel that I have told this story before, but if in case I haven't, I'll tell it again. As a kid, when you didn't have a lot of games, and Xbox, I get to an extent PlayStation did it as well, but Xbox, you could download the demo of the games, which you don't really get to do that anymore. You normally have to buy a game. You have to pre-buy the game, and sometimes they'll send you the beta. But you don't really get demos as much as you used to anymore. Regardless, the MLB 2K8 demo, me and my brother downloaded it. And the only two teams you could play for 3 innings were the Red Sox and the Rockies. And for some reason, we played that demo a freaking lot. And so, again, the only two teams you could be were the Red Sox and the Rockies. The year the Red Sox won the World Series. So I always stuck with the Red Sox and liked the Red Sox. And anytime they've been in the playoffs, I have watched, which, obviously for the past couple of years has not really been the instance. And I really did watch the 2019 playoff run. Was it 2019? 2018. Oh, it's going to bother me now. I'm fairly certain it's 2018, actually. And even so much so that I do have a Red Sox 2018 World Series hat, but I did wait till it went on clearance because, I am cheap. So, I would prefer the Red Sox win, but because, I've just told you all the trajectory that the team has been on the past couple of years, I have an expectance level. So, that's why I said I was watching the game tonight. They lost. I was like, okay, this is not. I also did watch that Red Sox documentary on Netflix, which if I've already told y'all that story about MLB 2K8, I had to definitely tell y'all that I watched that Red Sox. I'm pretty sure I told y'all I watched the Red Sox documentary. I was like, it was what it was. It kind of flew by because there's only 3 episodes. But baseball is interesting. Baseball is not as boring as people make it seem, but just very rarely do you get the comebacks that are like, okay, this is exciting. This is what I want to see. Even though, realistically, it doesn't take long or a lot for that to happen, You get the 3 guys on the base or 2 guys on the plate. Yes, I said on the base. And then, boom, home run. They could tie the game, take the lead, etc. So, I've been checking out and of course, it's also opening week. We haven't had baseball for a while, so it's always the case. When you don't have something, that's when you start missing it. Like with football right now, it's the off season of football right now. But because you keep watching the highlights and all the free agent signings and keeping up with stuff like that, and the draft still hasn't happened, you don't really miss football as much. But once like the end of June comes, or end of June, when there's a lot less sports games because NHL and NBA are in the playoffs, then that's when you really start missing it. Granted, I've said it several times, I'm a Packers fan, so I like football. I like watching football, but I miss Packer football right now. During that first week of free agency, I was watching a lot of Packer highlights, so there's that. But we're about to get in the interesting months of the year. WrestleMania coming up. NBA, NHL playoffs. I couldn't tell you anything. That's also the crazy thing. Is like I couldn't tell you anything about NHL and like who the favorites are. MLB is also funny as hell because like for the longest time, anytime I have it on the MLB network, most of the time they're talking about Shohei Ohtani. And what's even funnier about that is when I first discovered, and I was like, you know what, I'm gonna put it on the MLB network whenever I was like frustrated and whatnot. But anytime I did that, they'd be talking about Shohei Ohtani, like I said, and this is still when he was on the Angels, and it was essentially like, oh, Shohei Ohtani did this, and the Angels still lost. So I was like, what the hell? Like, I don't get it. I kind of get it. I do get it, but I was kind of feeling bad for the team and the situation. We've had a good fight here. Shut up, talk about baseball. Might have to rematch this. I'm kidding. Maybe not. He said he wants a hook and a high kick. Okay, so the hook did not land, but the high kick definitely did. And then an uppercut landed. Oh, that being said, big fight feel Saturday night. First of all, I'm going to watch UFC tomorrow because it's on ESPN, and I don't think any of the Final Four games will be going on, or Elite Eight at that point. Any of those games will be going on. It's on ESPN, so ESPN 2. But regardless, I'm going to tune into UFC tomorrow. The main big fight I feel I was getting to. Grizzlies, Lakers, Saturday night. Finally returned back home. Don't know why they felt the need to put us on so many road games the end of the year. Finally return home to an even crazier schedule. This Lakers game is a big deal. Legitimately have the same record as them. First time playing them with Luka on the team. We made the big transaction and get rid of our damn coach with, I believe, 9 games to be exact. But regardless, I feel that I can win this fight with an uppercut. Oh my goodness. Or I just said an uppercut. I probably could. I meant to say armbar. I am no professional MMA journalist. Demetrius Johnson does. He's gotten rocked a couple of times, but it looks pretty fine right now. So, really looking forward to that the Grizzlies game. Looking forward to UFC. I wish that AEW put more effort into Collision. I also feel that WWE probably should have done. They should have did a Saturday night's main event before. They should have not did the one. Because I think that Saturday night's main event, they're going to do them seasonally, so 4 times a year. They should have not did the one in January and did one, I would say, right in, this week it would have. I don't know if this week it would have. But essentially what I'm trying to get at is, Phil WWE could have benefited from. But to be fair, they're on this international tour. They have been for a month or so, so I can understand it as well. I'm just trying to give them advice. I can give them. Oh, let's talk about the Hall of Fame and one of my all-time favorite matches being inducted in Stone Cold versus Bret Hart. I'm intrigued to see if they do, as Demetrius Johnson has retained. Spoil that for y'all 3 seconds early, but y'all can see how that was going. This is a crazy celebration. I don't think we've gotten this celebration just yet, but that was a bit crazy. I'm intrigued to see if someone. Oh my goodness! You know what I just realized? Oh my goodness! I just put 2 and 2 together. So I'm intrigued to see if someone inducts it, talks about the importance of the match, fight, but talks about it, and then it gets inducted and they give a speech. I'm intrigued to see how the speeches go, because obviously this isn't like a career retrospective. It's just one match. So they could talk about their rivalry and all, because it was a great rivalry and important to the business, the industry, the business. I like saying that. But I just realized if somebody does induct it, it should be Kid Shamrock, who was is a name rumored for the Hall of Fame. Which I will also say, I think the Hall of Fame is being filmed after SmackDown at a different location this year. Which, to be fair, I might be lying with that. I know the past couple of years they filmed SmackDown, and then after SmackDown there's a little break, and then they do the Hall of Fame. Which I have not watched an entire Hall of Fame since 2018. Because 2019, it was the same time as ROH Supercard of Honor. G1 Supercard, to be exact. Chaotic event there. 2020, there was not a Hall of Fame. 2021, I tuned in and I didn't think I could. I didn't enjoy it because it was a Hall of Fame with no crowd, but they had piped in noises. I did watch RVD's speech because that was the main one that I cared about. 2022, I tuned in for the Steiners and watched back the Undertakers. 2023, I watched back Ray's, and then I watched Paul Heyman's last year. But essentially, I just catch 1 to 2 speeches. And in the case of Triple H, and this is going to sound like an somewhat asshole take, but I've seen people say a lot worse about Triple H. than what I'm about to say. We see him like every other week. We see him like every freaking week. So it's not like, oh, we haven't seen him in a long time. It's time to appreciate. Like, he gets praised and the pops and the reception, and we know who the hell he is, you know. So I don't think it means as much because we see this man. Where with like Stone Cold, when he got inducted in '09, and in this case especially with this freaking the match getting inducted, we don't see Stone Cold every week on TV or every other week on TV. We see him once a year maybe. So that'll make it a little bit more special. Also, I don't have the excuse of, oh, Supercard of Honor is on because it's not WrestleMania weekend this year. And now, obviously, WrestleMania weekend, there's lots of other shows going on, so time will tell there. But the Hall of Fame doesn't feel as in must watch. I was going to say important. It's still important, but it's not as much watch because at some points that was the only thing on some years, especially when, like, I'm trying to think. 2014 was a good one with Warrior, Razor Ramon, Mr. T. That was a hilarious name to mention there. But I'm trying to think, like, at that time, I don't think any other events were going on that you could, like, watch. 2015, same instance, because I'm trying to think back, because Supercard of Honor wasn't live 2015 and 16 definitely weren't. Those were on demand and DVD releases. 2017 and 18 and 19 were on pay-per-view. So that's when you realize I started. And also, 2018 wasn't even the same night as WrestleMania. Because it was the same night as TakeOver New Orleans, which I made the exception for that. I did watch both of those at the same time. I had ROH on the TV and my laptop with TakeOver on it in front of it. Might have been vice versa. Supercard of Honor was a way longer event as well. So it's WrestleMania season. Nice to get off. Talk about some WrestleMania stuff. Point being, I was talking about Stone Cold and Bret Hart, and I don't really think I said. Oh, I don't really remember what I said about it, but because I did even say a lot. I started talking about the damn Hall of Fame in general. Match that they should induct, and I think probably should have been the first inductee. Shawn Michaels versus The Undertaker, which maybe they didn't want to take away from Triple H. Also, I got an extremely hot take about Triple H. I know he hates Shawn. I'm not gonna say he hates Shawn Michaels, but I watched WrestleMania 24 this week for a retro review. Check it out. That was a good review and show. And Shawn had the best match and moment of the night with his match with Ric Flair. The next year, without a doubt, and even the year after that, without a doubt, match of the night against The Undertaker, especially at 25. And again, with Triple H, he was the main event. That was the big storyline going on, and that match just didn't deliver. Where Shawn and Undertaker over-delivered, and it was great. Then at 26, he's facing Sheamus. Nobody really had any expectations for that match. It was just kind of a weird match in hindsight. And Shawn, finally, hey, he's in the main event. And again, it was another case. So, I know Triple H, whenever they at WrestleMania, he does not want anything to do with Shawn. And it does not help him as well that, like, how many? 3, 4, at least, matches at WrestleMania involved Shawn after he retired. Because at 28, he reffed the match versus The Undertaker. 29, he got involved. I don't remember if he was on commentary or not, but he definitely got involved in the match with Brock because Brock broke his arm. And I did that in quotation voice. 31 was the big DX versus NWO spot, which I'll get to that back to that in a second. And then at 35, he was on commentary for that match, so he wasn't. And that was the last Triple H WrestleMania match, in hindsight. What was I saying? Oh, it's going to bother me now. Oh, WrestleMania 31. Y'all know I love Sting. And I'm still a bit salty that he did not win that match at WrestleMania. In the moment when it was happening, that DX and NWO face-off was cool. And then, but especially now, it didn't make sense because the NWO, and Sting weren't that cool. And in the grand scheme of things, we already know that the NWO guys, mainly Hall and Nash, are friends with Triple H. So, like, them attacking DX, and in reality, Triple H just wasn't something that should have happened. But in that moment, I was like, this is cool as hell. When Sting lost, I was like, this is bull crap. And especially because if you look at it, any WCW guy would, prior to that, and it's hilarious that, like, that was the last guy that he needed to defeat. Because Triple H defeated Scott Steiner, defeated Booker T, defeated Goldberg, which, granted, that was an Elimination Chamber match, but still that happened. Defeated Kevin Nash, which, depending on how you really want to look at that, you know, might not be that big on the grand scheme of things. And defeated Sting. Granted, he did not defeat Hogan. And it's a bit shocking that they let Hogan beat him at Backlash 02. But Hulkamania was running wild. It bothers me when I get something in my mind and then I completely forget about it when I was going to bring it up. But WrestleMania 31, I remember the build to WrestleMania 31 and just that time period in WWE just being very suckish. And NXT, this is right when NXT was solidifying themselves as the A show, even though they had no business being the A show, and it was just 10 times better than the main roster. But like I said, I remember the build to WrestleMania 31 sucking, and then the event happened, and it was actually a pretty good event. So, it's a bit crazy that Sting and Undertaker didn't happen, but this is just my wild theory. I feel, and especially because of what happened, but I feel if Sting did not get injured at Night of Champions 2015 and then retire, this might be one of the first times this has happened here. Let's see what they say. I'm fairly certain they'll say he's okay because that bar over there is not in the red. All right. I feel that Sting would have faced The Undertaker at Mania 32 and then retired, but he was too banged up and didn't really want to. He was just kind of, you know, I probably should retire. So I feel that we probably would have got Undertaker and Sting at Mania 32. That's kind of my theory. And I'm not going to say, and this is me fantasy booking, and I've had this fantasy booking in my mind for a while, because WrestleMania 32, there are several names that are, like, injured at that time. Seth, Cesaro, Cena, Orton. There's probably a couple more that I'm forgetting off the top of my head. But if, like, fully healthy, I think we would have got the Shield. We could have. I'm not going to say that we would have, but I think we could have got the Shield triple threat here. Because I still think that Roman would have beat Seth. Because if you got to travel back in time, I still think Roman would have beat Seth at Survivor Series 2015. I think that Dean would have won the Royal Rumble, and then the Authority add Seth into that match, because that was kind of the things that they would do at that time. So Roman would have been the champion, Dean would have won the Rumble, and Seth would have got added into the match via the Authority. Or they could have did Seth says that I don't think they could have let Roman win back-to-back Rumbles. So him winning the title at Survivor Series makes no sense. But it's also just a case of I don't really know if they would have let Dean been WWE champion at WrestleMania. Maybe. But if you like fast forward legitimately a couple more months, we get that match at Battleground, which again, I feel the only reason that they did it there and people like think about it now, like we got this match on a B, because the brand split happened after this. So I think the only reason they did it there is because they knew the wrestling was going to happen. It was going to be a legitimately. You don't know when this match could happen next because Seth and Roman are on the same show, but Dean wasn't. So you would have to have a funky reason to why the match was taking place. Also, this is what I'm trying to get at. Shane coming back and facing The Undertaker is still a bit insane. And in the back of my mind, and how I fantasy booked it, was that Shane still comes back, and instead of facing The Undertaker, he faces Triple H. He faces the quote-unquote authority, instead of having to face somebody that Mr. McMahon handpicked. And so, in my fantasy booking, we got Sting and Undertaker, Shane, Triple H. You can still do it in a Hell in a Cell and for control of WWE and Shane wanting to take over WWE. Because the whole point of the Hell in a Cell, I feel, was to do the damn elbow drop off the top of the cell. So many people imagine that happening that, oh, guess what? It happened. So you can still get that match. Granted, it wasn't even the greatest match to begin with, so I don't think it really falls off that much. And you're getting the Shield triple threat. That should have been the main event. Instead, we got an extremely long WrestleMania event. So, there's that. So, Dominic Cruz is once again the Bantamweight champion. So now, we're moving on to the featherweight division. And I told y'all we had a coin flip fight. And I like both of these fighters. These fighters have fought once before. And I think for that sake, I'm going to choose to be Aldo for this fight. Because most of the time when we've done rematches in the series, I'm not going to say it's been every time, but most of the time that we've done a rematch in this series, I chose the guy that lost. That way they could get a shot at redemption. So initially this is going to be a coin flip fight because I like Volkanovski as well. But for that sake, I think I'm going to choose Aldo. And especially this is prime Jose Aldo as well. So our first featherweight champion will be crowned. We just had our first bantamweight champion crowned, and then the fight after this, our first welterweight champion will be crowned. I know I've definitely told y'all the story of going to that store, that discount store, and for years they had the women's medium-sized I Heart Jose Aldo shirt. And it was just, at that point, a rib to, like, I want to keep coming into the store and hoping that the shirt is there. And it was definitely a sad day when that shirt disappeared. I went to that store the other day. And I'm trying to think what I bought in there. It's going to bother me because I definitely bought something. Bro, what did I buy? I definitely bought a bag, 2 bags of barbecue chips. It's called Stubbs barbecue chips. I personally think they're the best barbecue chips because most barbecue chips that you get don't look like the picture on the bag, where Stubbs, they do. But I definitely think I bought something else, and I'm completely blanking out on it. The store is also called Ollie's, you know. Good stuff, cheap. Giving them A free shout out. I used to buy a lot of books in there, but they haven't really updated their books in a hot minute. Holy goodness, that was a crazy kick. Volkanovski trying to commit a bit of a comeback here. Ooh, that could be bad. And Aldo exacts his revenge and is once again the featherweight king. Now I'll admit to y'all, plans are changing. Plans are definitely changing for future events. We're probably getting that trilogy bout. Spoiler alert. That's why I chose Aldo as well. As we got a trilogy bout coming up next. This one is a definite coin flip fight. For the third time, Nick Diaz will be challenging ruthless Robbie Lawler. Nick Diaz defeated Belal Muhammad and Michael Venom Page in our welterweight Grand Prix, while Robbie Lawler defeated Tyron Woodley. And I'm going to have to remember who he fought last. Oh, Ben Askren. I keep freaking forgetting that he fought Ben Askren and not Tyron Woodley. Going back to look. Got so many damn pages of notes. It's going to take a bit. He fought Askren and Condit. He fought Condit again. I keep forgetting that he didn't fight Tyron Woodley. Because the initial plan was for him to fight Woodley. Because that's who he lost the damn title to. But it doesn't matter. Because the title is at stakes right here. Snoop Dogg is streaming right now because I see it. I see his name and I'm watching. We're going to flip this coin. Robbie Lawler is going to be heads. Nick Diaz would be tails. Whatever we land on, that's who we're choosing for this fight. It lands on tails. So, for the next, potentially, 25 minutes, we are in the Nick Diaz army. And we're going to watch the full walk. We could have watched the full walkouts for all these fights, but we would have been here for almost 2 hours, probably. So, we're at Madison Square Garden. Nick Diaz is about to walk out and try to claim UFC gold. At some point, I might buy the Strike Force Nick Diaz, but I kind of like this version more. And also, to use it, I don't have to spend extra money on it. But I'm definitely intrigued to see what Strike Force Nick Diaz walks out with, because I'll be 100% honest with y'all. This is the first time that I'm seeing him walk out with this, because most of the time I skip the entrances and or are fighting online where there's no entrances. So there's a first time for everything. But this is not the first time for this. They could have gave him... Okay, to be fair, this is younger Nick Diaz. I was about to say, they could have gave him more stats. Representing his time in Pride FC. Very controversial and short-lived. Like I said, being a Strike Force Nick Diaz would probably benefit him a little bit more, but it is what it is. How many times have I said that in this video? I've definitely said it at least once. So Robbie Lawler's here. One of the most dangerous UFC fighters of all time. Definitely one of the most dangerous and best welterweights of all time. There's no news on Twitter right now. I'm going to tell y'all this now because I just saw a tweet with the Motor City Machine Guns pop up. If I went to a store and the Motor City Machine Guns were in there, I would go crazy. But if they were also in the store with CM Punk, I would legitimately be scared on everything to take a picture with, to ask them for a picture. I'm definitely asking for a picture. They say no, fuck off. But that would be such a great, like, somebody took a picture with him at a record store, which I'm gonna imagine that was the owner. That's just me. But I would absolutely love that. One of my favorite tag teams of all time, one of my favorite wrestlers of all time. I've also met them. This is true story. I've met the Machine Guns before. In 2010. So I'm a child. And what sucks about it is I have no clue where the picture of it is. I have a CD where all the pictures from that event are on. And I've put that CD into my Xbox, my old Xbox, my PlayStation, and my laptop, and it doesn't effing work. So I would have to take it to, I believe, Walmart, because that's where I got it, and hope that it works there. Which, if you just heard what I said, is effing old. So my picture Machine Guns for now is mysterious. But I'm also probably not going to a WWE meet and greet because they show those event prices terrible. They're just terrible. It really is a smack in the face to the fans. And what sucks about it is there's definitely fans that will pay for those crazy ass prices. And some people can benefit off of it, or not benefit off of it, but afford it. Let's put it that way. And some people can't, and they're going to do anything and everything to do it. I wouldn't. I really wouldn't. I'm not going to say it's not worth it at the end of the day, but I just wouldn't. That's just my take on it. It's insulting to the fans. I know it's kind of a hot take, but wrestling meet and greets used to be a lot cheaper and better. And then I don't know when the hell they were like, yeah, let's just make these more expensive to the events than to the events of the show. It sucks. It sucks being a wrestling fan. Retro review coming up this Tuesday. Haha. I will fully admit, very excited for this week's retro review. WrestleMania 38, Night 1. Stone Cold on the Kevin Owens show. Bianca Belair looking for redemption against Becky Lynch after an astronomical performance at the previous year's SummerSlam. She's finally getting her rematch. Seth Rollins has to face a mystery opponent. Rick Boogs opens up the show. I'm looking forward to this review. And now, I know when I say retro review, and I'm talking about something that's from 2022, that's not that long ago, I understand, but I still want to talk about it. Now, granted, what makes this even a little bit more crazy is my initial plans were not to review Night 2, but I would feel a little bit weird if I just glossed over it and didn't even review Night 2. And I definitely could say this is the first time that I'm like generally going to review a bad show. WrestleMania 3 you can make the case for. But that show didn't take as long to watch that I expected it to. But there's just a lot of head ass shit. And like I also give it to the excuse of like, oh, this is just how things were at the time. With WrestleMania 38, legitimately 35 years later, I don't know why the hell they feel the excuse to do some of the stuff that they did on that. Night 2. And I'm talking about Night 2 at least. Night 1 is a very good show. Night 2, maybe I'll come to my mind and be like, oh, this is actually decent. Well, time will tell with that. Undertaker, Shawn Michaels, WrestleMania 25 should be their next Hall of Fame inductee. What's also crazy about that, I don't hate it. I don't entirely hate it, but I do feel that there's probably endless possibilities to what's happening here, and there's definitely going to be some moments and weird things that potentially might arise from it because there's certain agendas that like to be pushed, a la they got a top 50 WrestleMania match list in Triple H. I keep seeing his ass pop up on them. Buddy, some of your matches are not better. Your matches are not better than Gunther, Drew, and Sheamus. And not better than Shawn and Kurt. I just had to get that off my chest because it does bother the hell out of me. But I definitely just feel there's going to be certain matches that should not be in there. And that's why I'm throwing it out there that Undertaker and Shawn should be definitely an inductee. But what I was also trying to get at is I do feel that they might just need to limit it to WrestleMania matches. Which, to be fair, in WWE's eye, a lot of the most important and big matches that they do happen at WrestleMania. And it definitely sucks that I can't think off the top of my mind of, like, a great match that is Hall of Fame worthy that didn't happen at WrestleMania for WWE. One that came to mind was John Cena and AJ at SummerSlam, which is my personal favorite out of that trilogy. That'd be a good trilogy to do a retro review for, by the way. Gunther. I just looked at my shelf and saw my Ilya Dragunov figure, and I'm like, bro, Ilya and Gunther, that would actually be insane, but might have to wait like 25 years for that. I also just know for certain that Roman and Cody's going to end up in there at some point. I just don't know how. I would say in the next 10 years. That's just how much they're going to blow smoke up that match's ass. And Roman has the possibility of being in the Hall of Fame like at least 4 times. Because his regular induction, his Shield induction, which as much as they bring the Shield up now, I feel it has to happen. The Bloodline, as much as they've been around, they even got a freaking video game cover out of it. And then that match, and there's definitely better matches that Roman has had than that. So the Hall of Fame might be in a crazy spot. Because we're actually having a good back and forth fight right here. Opposed to their first 2 encounters. Where the first one, Diaz dominated, and the second one, Lawler dominated. And this one's important because, like I said, there's a title on the line here. The welterweight title is on the line here. Kurt Angle and Shawn. There's definitely a great Kurt Angle WWE match. They definitely ain't inducted. And I'll give y'all a clue. Rumble 03. Boom, I said it. Which I know I have prepared. I'm not gonna say I know. I have prepared the retro review schedule all the way till September. And you're probably like, you're insane for doing that. You're insane for preparing that much. But I will preface it by saying cards subject to change. And that has already been the case with some of the retro reviews that we've already done. I already went off on my side tangent talking about Supercard of Honor. But one of the there's a series that I plan on doing in the summer that involves me reviewing SummerSlam. Not SummerSlam. Well, there is a SummerSlam, but Rumble 03. Which I just want to point out. That it feels insane that Triple H and Scott Steiner had such a bad match at the Royal Rumble. They thought, let's just do that match again next month. And I didn't know. And if you kind of look at it, it kind of makes sense. But I didn't know that the plan was for Scott to end up be champion at WrestleMania, or at least have a third match at WrestleMania. I think I'm not that against it because I love Scott Steiner, and a lot of people do. And if you look at it, he doesn't do anything at WrestleMania, and they kind of had to set up an impromptu Booker. I'm not gonna say impromptu, but a out of nowhere build for Booker T and Triple H, which I think that's one of the like a top 5 most decisive match. Divided. I don't think decisive is the right word there. Divided match in WWE history, maybe wrestling history in general, because so many people hate the build towards it, the things that happen in it, and the ending of the match itself, which that's the main complaintive. And I understand. I really do understand it. Ooh! You cannot taunt. You taunt, get hit once, you're probably going to get knocked out. So we did block at the right time there. But again, we've had a very back and forth fight right here. So we're going into the championship rounds right now. Second fight of the night that has done that because DJ and Figueiredo did. I would not mind this going towards a decision and then seeing Bruce have to read off the cards, and we have that dramatic end into this event. But if we put the... Okay, I was about to say, if we put the pieces together, we might have to worry about it. Then immediately get hit and done up. I've not seen... Bro, what was this taunt? Look, if I do this taunt, I'm going to do that, and then I'm going to do the... You see the one where he's, like, moving? Or did I just make that... That just might have been me moving anyways, and it not being meant to be a taunt. Okay, okay. Okay. It's getting a little bit too close for my liking. Ooh. Sorry for the silence, but this is a time to be very concentrated. Because any one jab, punch, kick can end the fight at this point. Either side as well. That should have been more damage. Oh, yeah. Definitely not now, because he's definitely a little bit too close. Okay, I missed. Going into the 5th and final round. 20 minutes have surpassed us. This is what I've been leaning towards. Like I said, this is a massive fight. Main event fight. 5 more minutes till we crown our first welterweight champion. Oh, no, no. Don't you dare. Don't you dare. Don't you dare. We want to finish this. Yeah, get your ass out of here. Everybody go insane. This happened. This is not the first time that a Diaz fight has been stopped in the main event of an MSG card. Oh! Trouble is on the horizon. As we got less than 2 minutes left. We just earned some reward points. As Robbie survives, he survives. But he doesn't survive the last minute as he taps. And Nick Diaz is our welterweight champion. Definitely up there with our great... We need to keep doing Grand Prix. Because Stipe and John Jones, our heavyweight Grand Prix finals, was an all-time fight. And this one might have just topped it.
Gentlemen, referee Herb Dean has called a stop to this contest at 4 minutes, 13 seconds of round number 5. For the winner by submission, and new undisputed UFC welterweight champion of the world, Nick Diaz.
That was a great way to end it. When you see these judges' scorecards. Not as close a fight as I get to get up to be, but at least it went 5 rounds. So, that is it for this event. Like I said, next time around at event number 12, GSP, Usman, Poirier, Oliveira 2, and some contender fights in the heavyweight and lightweight division. That lightweight number 1 contender fight, Max Holloway versus Michael Chandler. We got one more, still working on it. So I do appreciate y'all for watching this. Like, comment, subscribe, and all that stuff. And I'll see you when I see you, because I'm out for now. We went a whole hour. Thank you. I'm out.